All right, it looks like my audio is coming in just fine. Wonderful. What's going on, viewers? It's your gracious host, Kaine Walker, back with another episode of the Monkey Paw, where we document the downfall of mainstream Western entertainment. I am joined by myself. How you wonderful folks doing tonight? You know, for the past couple weeks, I've been catching up on some news, but there hasn't been very much to trip my radar as far as interest when it comes to certain topics. But speaking of topics, I have been working on some that I could use in short form content, but those have been subjects that I've just been thinking about for a while, and I finally have an excuse to talk about them more. Reason why I haven't posted them earlier is because I was being very picky about what content I decided to post, and I favor long form over short form content, but sometimes deep topics don't require a lot of time to discuss or talk about or opine over. So you're going to be seeing a little bit more of that if you're planning on sticking around for any length of time. But anyway, we'll talk about other projects I have in mind later on as it comes up. Right now, I'm going to get into our first topic for the night. Take down the brand new thumbnail for the show. Let me know how y'all like that. Oh, the capture went down. I hate that. It's not the one I wanted either. It is having trouble. It is having some trouble. Come on, Chrome Capture. You can do it. There we go. I actually found out about this about an hour before I was about to go live, because this is actually something I've been following for a while. A lot of people have complained about Nintendo being stingy when it comes to some of their properties and people being able to participate in them. Matter of fact, I brought that up in the latest video I posted. There's games that aren't even available for sale and are pretty much lost to the public unless you emulate them. Excuse me. And even though they won't sell it to you, they'll still go on your ROM site and shut it down, your emulation site and shut it down. And this article is actually very short, but you can see the headline. After all that time, they finally admit that emulation is legal. Insane, right? So the TLDR for this article, it's going to be coming from Android Authority. The top IP lawyer at Nintendo agreed that emulators are technically legal at a panel for intellectual property rights. They run afoul of the law when they bypass encryption, recreate copyrighted programs, or point users to pirated material. Nintendo's legal team has been aggressively pursuing emulation projects for years. Oh, they have. Last year was rough for emulation, with Nintendo pressuring and shutting down several emulation projects like Yuzu, Citra, and Ryujinx. However, none of these cases went to court, so the legal status of emulation is still largely untested, and now we might know why. At the Tokyo Esports Festa earlier this week, top lawyers and intellectual property leaders from Capcom, Koei, Sega, Konami, and Nintendo discussed a variety of issues concerning copyright and IP in the gaming industry via how do you pronounce that? Denfaminico? Via Denfaminico Gamer. Regarding emulators, patent attorney and deputy general manager of Nintendo's intellectual property department, Koji Nishira, agreed that they are technically completely legal. However, there are still a number of ways that emulators can violate the law. For example, the Nintendo Switch has certain technical restriction measures, that prevent it from playing pirated games. If a Switch emulator seeks to bypass those measures, it opens itself up to legal trouble. Nintendo knows that emulation is legal, but developers are walking a tightrope. Note that this discussion was based on Japanese law, but the same language is found in the DMCA section 121. I'm just going to highlight this. The DMCA section, this here, you can see it, 1201 something. No person shall circumvent a technological measure that effectively controls access to a work protected under this title. That law is more than 26 years old, going into effect a month after Google was founded, but the language remains in place. Additionally, the specific programs a console uses, such as the home screen or menus, are subject to copyright protection. Copying those elements in an emulator opens a separate but equally squiggly legal can of worms. In other words, emulation itself isn't illegal, but using an emulator in certain ways can still violate the law. Nishira stated that Nintendo shut down emulators around the globe for bypassing technological restriction measures, framing it as a way to protect developers. The company did something similar back in 2009, when it teamed up with 54 developers to shut down a company making a device that played pirated DS games. Nishira, I hope I'm not butchering that. Nishira, I was. God damn it. Nishira also pointed out that emulators that direct users to pirated games or other copyrighted material are also in clear violation of the law. That appears to have been the case with Yuzu developer Tropic Haze, who is rumored to have been internally sharing ROMs for the latest Switch titles. It's also possible that Nintendo has ramped up legal action recently due to compatibility with the just announced Nintendo Switch 2 console, which will launch later in 2025. Yeah, I still don't know why you won't just make why won't you just make any of those things available for sale? Granted, it doesn't go into detail about what ROMs were being used, but there's tons of them that people are willing to buy that you will not make available for sale. So, like, excuse me. That would solve a great deal of the problem. But for some odd reason, they just won't do it. God knows why, but they just won't do it. Hey, how's it going, Toast? Nice to see you. All right. Well, okay, the first one wasn't even a full topic, really, but there is the first topic done. And we're going to go to the second topic for the night. Yep, I made a new title screen for the podcast. You're here semi-early. The first thing I talked about was really short. It was about Nintendo finally admitting that emulation was legal. And you didn't miss a whole lot, but that was the only thing I talked about so far. This next one is the first full topic I'll be covering tonight, and it's about Arcane. Still annoyed about what they did with Arcane Season 2, but we'll get into that plus some more things once we get into the article. So this is going to be coming from IGN. New report says 250 million New report says $250 million Arcane was a financial miss. Riot co-founder insists it crushed for players and so it crushed for us. Underneath it says, in reality, we sell skins to make things like Arcane. The co-founder of Riot Games has responded to a report that claimed League of Legends animated series Arcane was a financial miss. Bloomberg reported that Arcane's 2 seasons cost an eye-watering $250 million to produce and market, and ultimately failed to generate enough gaming revenue for Riot despite winning a big audience on Netflix. The publication said Netflix paid $3 million per episode, with Riot owner Tencent handing over an additional $3 million per episode to show Arcane in China. Man, I wonder what the Chinese version of Arcane looked like. I gotta. They're always taking something out for the Chinese release. And from what I've been seeing about the season 2 premiere of Arcane, I know. No, I saw some of it. I saw some of what they took out. Fuck, I wish I could find it right now. I saw some of what they took out. There was a scene with Vi and Asian sniper chick whose name escapes me. And it just looks uncanny as hell for the Chinese release. You could probably still find news about Arcane season 2 in the Chinese release, but it's fucking hilarious. Anyway, back to the article. All told, that's less than half the $250 million in cost Riot to bring Arcane to the market. And according to Bloomberg, Tencent started asking Riot difficult questions between the release of season 1 and 2. The hope, Bloomberg reported, was that Arcane would fuel an increase in players of League of Legends and in turn a boost in spending. Riot makes significant revenue from the sale of skins for League of Legends characters, some of which cost hundreds of dollars. That shit is criminal. Why? People are actually paying money for that, by the way. Like, you're paying like $100 for a digital good. It's a useless digital good. Why are you paying $100 for the tournament edition for fucking League of Legends characters? Tournament edition skins for League of Legends characters. That shit is insane. Oh my God. Bloomberg said that Riot failed to capitalize on the success of season 1 with Arcane themed items, but had more time to do so ahead of the release of season 2. To be completely honest with you, they could have been doing that the whole time, but I'm sure no one cares now because of what they did. A lot of the goodwill they'd earned through Arcane season 1 was immediately lost as soon as people started watching season 2. So it doesn't even matter anymore. Apparently they made this to attract new League of Legends players when they should have really just been making it for the people who already play League of Legends. Also, why the hell are you making a TV show? Okay, yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing. Like, I get that sometimes people make animated series of graphic novels and, any reading material, really. But I don't see how that would translate to players. You know, I don't know how you would make a show to sell a video game. Or in particular, make a show to sell a MOBA. I don't know where their thought process was for that. Also, clearly, it's very clear after you've seen season 2 what kind of players they're looking for, to the point where I've heard news of them completely changing pre-established designs and personalities of characters in the game for absolutely no reason. Lore and character relationships either added or subtracted for the sake of, most likely, DEI. Because I saw that shit. It's probably DEI. I saw the fucking news of the show. But hey, it's their money. They can burn it if they want to. In a quote attributed to a spokesman, Riot insisted that while Arcane wasn't profitable, the show should be considered a success over... No. 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 Okay. First of all, it's not successful either way, because there's things that are really good that don't make any money, and there's things that are really shitty that make a lot of money. It's not a success either way, because nobody liked Arcane Season 2. I saw nothing but fucking complaints. And the shit didn't make no money. No, it is not a success overall, objectively. Looking at the measuring stick of fan reception and fucking financial gain or loss, it's not even close to being either one of those things. Yeah, that enemy song, getting Imagine Dragons to do that fucking opening for season 1 was like the best move they could have ever made. It was amazing. That song was fucking dope. Oh my God, it was good. But no, this shit is garbage. It's not a success. It's trash. It's trash. With the last month of the company's highest grossing revenue periods ever. Apparently, the second season is on track to at least break even financially. Now, Riot co-founder Mark Merrill has responded to the report, taking to Reddit to address discussion about it with the League of Legends community. God. Okay, all right. People who look at the world through a short-term, transactional, cynical lens will really struggle to understand Riot. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Merrill? We're looking at it from a short-term, transactional, cynical lens when you're the ones who wanted to market this show to anyone but your fans. How the fuck is that long-term thinking? Because that's what it would imply. Because if we're looking at it in a short-term way through a short-term lens, then you must be looking at it through a long-term lens. It's not even cynical. Like, motherfuckers waited for the show to come out. They saw that the first season was good, and they figured that the second season would be as well. You actually had something that a lot of companies lack nowadays, goodwill, and you fucked it up. There was no cynical lens. Everybody was anticipating season 2, and they thought it was going to be a banger. But as soon as it came out, it was shit. What cynical lens are you talking about? Let me reread this shit. People who look at the world through a short-term, transactional, cynical lens really struggle to understand Riot, Merrill said. This has been true with various people trying to claim that high-quality free games won't work, that esports would never work, that our music was insane, and now saying that Arcane wasn't awesome or worth it. These people think we make things like Arcane to sell skins. In reality, we sell skins to make things like Arcane. Riot is a mission-driven company where rioters are constantly striving to make it better to be a player. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. I've heard the reports. And I've seen some of the things you've been doing to the game. If you want to make things better for players, why didn't you keep the original designs for the characters and then just sell the show versions of those characters as skins with unique dialogue? That way, everybody gets what they want. But that's not the fucking point, is it? The lack of choice for legacy fans is exactly the point. Whatever. That is why we have successfully done that over and over again across multiple games and now multiple businesses. Mediums, games, sports, music, and animation. Do we get everything right? Nope. but we are not focused on the short-term extraction of profits. We are focused on delivering exceptional value to our audience over the long term, again and again and again. I don't fucking believe you. I don't believe you. If you were worried about the long term, you would cater to your legacy fan base. Period. Why is everyone so obsessed with attracting new customers when the only thing you have to do is keep doing what made you popular, and motherfuckers who are already into things like that will gravitate toward it? To be clear, Arcane crushed for players, and so it crushed for us. You could have fooled the fuck out of me, personally. Merrill clearly is insisting that for Riot, the costly Arcane was worth it. Although it's worth noting that he does not dispute any specific part of Bloomberg's reporting. So you're delusional. So if you can't outright say Bloomberg is wrong and that they're full of shit, then you're delusional. Clearly, it didn't crush for fans or who else? I don't know who else they're reporting to. I guess I'll say it didn't crush for fans or your bank account. Let's put it that way. Clearly, it's a double failure, a double whammy, as they say. Merrill, subsequently responded to one Reddit user who suggested Arcane wasn't profitable enough for Riot to make more League of Legends animated spin-offs, saying, except it was. I mean, it was if you don't pay $250 million for the next one. Oh, what's up, Sham? Nice to see you joining too, man. Appreciate you being here. Oh, man. I'm reading about the cope that the producers for the Arcane show and the makers of League of Legends have to say about Arcane Season 2's failure. And I think in this report, they're counting Arcane Season 1 and 2. I don't feel bad for them at all because, like I said, they had a lot of goodwill going into... They had a lot of goodwill from Arcane Season 1. Virtually everyone liked it. And then by the time Season 2 came around, they did a bunch of DEI shit. Plot points that people were looking forward to being resolved never got resolved, and the wrong things took the forefront of the fucking story. And so neither season was a success. Fans are hoping that Riot pushes forward with more League of Legends animated series despite all this. What fans? Who's been saying that shit? Who's saying this? Who's saying they want more Arcane? Who? I haven't seen. No one's talked about Arcane since the fucking second season finished, dog. Nobody. Nobody said they wanted more either. I've been watching. The streets have been real quiet about Arcane. Last month, Riot creative director and Arcane creator and showrunner, God, that was a mouthful, Christian Link, revealed the 3 Runeterra regions it's exploring as settings for future shows. Noxus, I think that's Ionia, and Demacia. That's it. Oh shit, there's comments. 125 comments. I'll read some of these. Okay. In the running for best anime of all time? What the fuck? That's the first comment I get. In the running for best anime of all time, far from a miss. I want to thank them for making it. Couldn't care less about money. That isn't mine. Not an anime, and no, I'm not one of those not Japanese equals not anime people. That notion is outdated and inaccurate. But it's clearly not even trying to emulate that style in neither animation or writing. Yeah, no, it's a Western animation. That's why I liked Arcane so much. It was a Western animation, and we actually do need more Western animations that are really good. But God, man, they just fumble. They fumble so hard, man. I thought we were seeing a start of something like that, and then they just went ahead and did the sweet baby treatment to it in season 2. It's fucking sad. Oh, man. All things considered, on track to break even is a significant achievement given the price of and being funded by a free game. What? Personally, the cut corners were more evident in season 2 than season 1. But to be honest, still significantly higher in quality than most shows out there. So if that's the only target that's realistic, I'm all for it. If that's the only target that's realistic, I'm all for it. No, nobody. Okay, no. Okay. People need to understand this. If you want things to continue being made, the company that's making it has to do more than break even. I don't know why people are people being happy that their favorite show broke even lets me know they know nothing about economics and the way money works. At all. Like, you want your favorite show? That's why you buy all the fucking merchandise. You want your favorite show to make money hand over fist. You don't want them to break even ever. You want them to have fucking 7 seasons, 10 seasons if they can make it without it being garbage. For the love of God, please. Please, God. The last thing I want is for a good show to just end up being some ass, bro. Just, oh. But you see my point. Hang on. Oh my God, the comments are... There's not an even spread of comments. There's not an even spread of opinions in these comments, like, at all. Oh, there's one. Season 1 was great. Season 2 lost me. I didn't even bother finishing it. The quality of the show was spectacular. I just didn't care for the story direction in season 2. Oh my God, you're lost, little bro. It didn't surpass season 1, but it had so many moments that made it absolutely stellar and unforgettable. This dipshit is glitching. What? I agree with you. Season 2 was all over the place. Wasn't as good. Season 1 rocked. I'm inclined to believe the whispers that the original story outline called for 5 seasons, and the inflated budget forced them to wrap in 2. Everything moved at a blistering pace. Season 1 was just perfect in every conceivable way. The pacing was on point. Season 1 was near perfect. Season 1 Arcane was near perfect. The shit wasn't flawless, but it had so much going for it that virtually every mistake made in season 1 could have been cleaned up easily in season 2. It could have made up for literally everything, retroactively making season 1 perfect. Too bad, though. They fumbled. The show is great, but I would definitely never play the game. Yeah, this is the other point I was making. Why would you make this show in order to attract people to your MOBA? That was never going to happen, bro. You make external shit for hardcore fans of your franchise. You do not make that shit for normies. You don't make that for them. You make it for the fans, and whoever watches it that's not a fan, whatever. They can enjoy it too. You don't change the formula for outsiders. That's what's been going on for the past decade or so. On purpose, but you get my point. Riot doesn't seem stressed at all. Bloomberg seems more stressed. Bloomberg was reporting the numbers. What are you talking about? They're trying to poke because they know Tencent is involved. Maybe. I don't know what that means, but maybe. But Tencent has invested in Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, even Alan Wake devs, and been no issues. There's definitely been issues with Alan Wake. Despite Baldur's Gate success, there's been hella complaints. Anyway, that's all the comments I'm gonna read. Oh my fucking god. They didn't fumble, they scored. Wayne Calker. Season 2 was goated. Why you hating? Season 2 was not goated. You gotta be the only person on earth to think that, bro. Oh my god. Oh man. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. I don't know what possessed them to take the story off the rails. Clearly this shit was a bait and switch though. Like, that's what it was. Classic. They give you a really good first season, and then the second season is some shit. Like, why do they keep doing stuff like this? I just don't get it, dude. Moving on to the next topic. This next one is going to be from comicbook.com under movies. Sony's Marvel spin-off films are done, but Spider-Man will continue. Sony is reportedly ending its Spider-Man universe spin-off films after Kraven the Hunter. Thank God. It's almost like a Spider-Man extended universe without Spider-Man doesn't fucking work. It's almost like Venom outside of the context of Spider-Man doesn't make any fucking sense. None of these movies outside of the context of Spider-Man make no fucking sense. What made them think it would? It took you this much money being lost to finally figure this shit out? Sony's line of Marvel films centered around Spider-Man universe characters continues this week with the opening of Kraven the Hunter. But according to a new report, it will also mark an ending of sorts. A detailed report claims that compounded stumbles of Morbius, a more $1 billion, Madam Web, and Venom trilogy of diminishing returns, and even all those bungled plans from the 2010s Amazing Spider-Man franchise are making Sony press pause on its attempts to build a separate Marvel franchise. Instead, it's being said that all efforts are now turning toward working with Marvel Studios to make Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. Oh my fucking God. I didn't read this. Why? Give me a moment, man. Give me a second. I'm so fucking disappointed, man. Spider-Man 4 with fucking Tom Holland. They've developed what they want to develop for now. A top talent agent was quoted as saying, "It's really about the next Spider-Man film." Oh my fucking God. The Rap's Humberto Gonzalez points to some ominously low early tracking and hype measures for Kraven the Hunter as everything that Sony is concerned about. Kraven marks Sony's third Marvel-themed film released in 2024. Madam Web had a budget of 80 to 100 million and made just 100 million at the worldwide box office. Venom the Last Dance cost 120 million and its box office haul of 472.8 million was just over half of what the original film earned. And less than the sequel film, earned while releasing within the restrictions and limits of the... Bro, they're still gonna fucking blame COVID. Venom: The Last Dance cost $120 million, and its box office haul of $472.8 million was just over half of what the original film earned, and less than the sequel film earned while releasing within the restrictions and limits of the COVID pandemic. Okay, never mind. They're saying that despite COVID, the first movie made more money. Okay. All right, okay. Thank you. Kraven the Hunter cost roughly $110 million, and unless some Christmas miracle takes place, it's looking like it could potentially be the biggest flop of all three of Sony's Spider-Man universe releases this year. Oh, this year. Wait, when did Morbius come out? I can't fucking remember. When did Morbius come out, man? When did it come out? Hang on. Let me look this up. Okay, April 1st, 2022. Never mind. This year. Kraven the Hunter would have to earn over $300 million at the box office just for Sony to say that it earned a combined $1 billion from its 2024 Marvel movies. The fact that the studio could end the year not even being able to make that claim is a depressing indictment. Is a depressing indictment of the brand and maybe the state of the superhero movie genre in general. Oh my fucking God, bro. Related. Marvel Spider-Man 4 plot details revealed. Oh my God, bro. I'm so fucking mad. I'm so mad. The biggest issue with the Sony Spider-Man spinoffs seems to be the lack of quality control. The movies just aren't good. An insider was quoted as saying you needed an insider for that. Sometimes that lack of quality meets a movie no one asked for, which was the case with Madam Web, and that is a no-win scenario. It may be time for Sony to start cultivating different IP to launch. New franchises. Sony is still focused on Spider-Man TV and the Spider-Verse. Fucking A. It is noted that the Wraps report that Sony is not only focusing on Spider-Man 4, the studio is still putting efforts into the other area of the brand that has managed to be a breakthrough success. The Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was a Dark Horse breakout hit that earned an Oscar, the sequel film. That was a fucking semicolon. That earned an Oscar. The sequel film, Across the Spider-Verse, was a box office hit, doubling the first film's earnings with nearly $700 million, earning critical acclaim and a slew of major award nominations and wins. The film was hit with some controversy after its release, with rumors of chaotic production troubles that were derailing the timeline of the third film. Sony is now reportedly pushing to get Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse complete, and there are indications that the franchise's protagonist, Miles Morales, will make the jump into live action. We'll make the jump into the live action Marvel Cinematic Universe. That could be a much bigger door for Sony to open, and it doesn't seem like the studio is wasting the opportunity. Even as Beyond the Spider-Verse gets into production, Sony has partnered with Amazon Prime Video and MGM on a live-action Spider Noir series, with Nicolas Cage taking his role from the animated films into a live-action TV series. Oh my fucking Lord, bro. God! Kraven the Hunter will be released in theaters on December 13th. We got to cover this too, right? We got to cover this too. Let me see. Let me read the comments because nobody would watch a series about Gwen if they didn't play Dark Souls external content. Driving fans only partially works with RPGs and Sony movie games. Oh, that was about the League of Legends thing. Yeah, of course not. No, that makes perfect sense. That shit is made for the... You should make external media for fans of the source material. Period. I'm shelling out more billions for Morbius 2, even more Morbius. I'm getting ready to morb out. I'm gonna morb. Wait, hang on. Tom Holland has outgrown Peter Parker and was never a great Spider-Man, just an okay Spider-Man. I don't think it's his fault. I don't think he was good as either one. I don't. I'm a comic purist, and Tobey Maguire is still the best portrayal of Peter Parker. I don't care what nobody says. He's still the best portrayal. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Don't care. The Raimi movies were not perfect. They did not get certain details 100% correct, but who fucking cares? He tried, and you can see it in the cinematography and the script. You can see it in the movies. I don't have superhero fatigue or Star Wars fatigue. I have a legacy fatigue. I mean, here's the thing with that, though. It really doesn't matter if you have fatigue or not. And this isn't directed at you specifically, Rudy. This is a general statement. Doesn't matter if someone has fatigue or not. People should know when it's time for something to be fucking over. Like you should know when something is supposed to end. Like after some major fucking release of some show or piece of media, book, whatever. You're like, all right, I don't see them getting any better than this. When are they going to wrap this shit up? You should be waiting on that every time. You should never go into any series with it going on forever in mind. You shouldn't. You should be anticipating the ending of something once it's reached a certain point. Sham, don't be excited for Nicolas Cage. Don't do that. I'm sorry, man. I don't think Nicolas Cage has been a good superhero actor since Ghost Rider, and he actually did play a pretty good Ghost Rider. I just can't see him as anything else other than the vampire shit he did recently and the goofy version of Spider-Man Noir. And for the record, Spider-Man Noir, in his comics, I don't think he's old, man. I'm pretty sure he's still like in his mid-20s. I really don't think he's old. Anyway, let's get into this fucking article, because the plot of Spider-Man 4, Marvel Spider-Man 4 plot details revealed, and the comics that inspired the story. Oh, now you give a fuck about comics. That's fucking rich. Peter Parker, who, after Tom Holland confirmed that the as yet untitled Spider-Man 4 will start shooting in summer 2025. What is that shit gonna be called? Spider-Man: A New Home? Ahead of its July 2026 release date, producer Amy Pascal has teased the first plot details from Sony and Marvel Studios' follow-up to 2021 Spider-Man: No Way Home. The final installment of director John Watts' trilogy ended with Peter Parker urging Doctor Strange to cast a spell that would make everyone, including his girlfriend MJ and best friend Ned, forget not only Spider-Man's secret identity, Excuse me. But Peter Parker's existence. Okay, see that this part fucking okay, never mind. Wait a minute. What? Fuck, I forgot the details of the last film. Does the entire world not know Peter Parker's identity? Because that raises a lot of fucking questions. And here's the problem with being sometimey as fuck about the comics. In the comics, when Doctor Strange made the world forget about Spider-Man's secret identity, it effectively made Spider-Man and Peter Parker two separate characters again in the eyes of the people he met. But with what they did in the movie, neither one of them exist, apparently. So how the fuck does that work? Whatever. It was the only way to save the Marvel Cinematic Universe from collapsing beneath the weight of the multiverse. The only way to do that was to not do it in the first place. Now no one in this universe remembers Peter Parker. That is what they did. What the fuck? How is this going to work? How? His own family doesn't know who he is? Fucking A, dude. The writing for that movie is not going to be good. It's not going to be good. I will not watch that shit. I'm not going to see it. I'm not. The only reason I went to No Way Home is because fucking Tobey Maguire is in that shit. And I'm happy I stayed for Andrew Garfield because his acting in that shit was top notch too. And the payoff he had with Mary Jane, that shit was dope. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it a buck. The best parts of No Way Home were written by other people. Sam Raimi wrote the majority of that fucking movie. and the writer for The Amazing Spider-Man for Andrew Garfield, yeah, they wrote the good parts of his performance. Like, the movie was carried. The movie was fucking carried by vastly better films. Almost nothing from Iron Boy Jr.'s series carried that film in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, the majority of the problems came from it. Anyway, we have to deal with the fact that he decided he was going to give up being Peter Parker and that he was going to focus on being Spider-Man because being Peter Parker was too hard. This is dumb as hell. What? So that's what the movie is about. Spider-Man 24/7. Pascal's comments suggest Spider-Man 4 is inspired in part by Spider-Man 24/7, a 3-issue storyline from the pages of The Amazing Spider-Man number 592 to 594. Those issues took place during Dark Reign when Spider-Man's arch nemesis Norman Osborn was installed as director of Hammer, formerly S.H.I.E.L.D., and established the Dark Avengers out of Avengers Tower, now owned by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Valentina Allegra de Fontaine in Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts movie as the Iron Patriot. Yeah, I actually enjoyed reading this. I bet any kind of money they're not gonna fucking do it justice. It's not even close. After making his secret identity public in support of the Iron Man-backed Superhuman Registration Act during the events of Civil War, Spider-Man managed to put the genie back in the bottle with the help of Doctor Strange and Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, which wouldn't be revealed until later in Spider-Man One Moment in Time, a 4-part arc that inspired No Way Home. Okay. I don't fucking believe you. I don't believe... The only parts that I believe are inspired by fucking No Way Home was the part where Strange makes people forget he was Spider-Man. That's the only part. That's literally the only part I believe that inspired you from that fucking comic. Virtually nothing else. I need the world to forget I'm Spider-Man, Peter told the Sorcerer Supreme, who made it so that no one except for his once wife Mary Jane Watson remembered his secret identity, including his Avengers teammates and his close friends of the Fantastic Four. Friend or forgotten. Unlike No Way Home, however, the inhabitants of the Marvel Universe didn't forget Peter Parker. They just forgot the face under Spider-Man's mask. I mean, yeah, that was the point. While people remembered Spider-Man's unmasking, their fuzzy memories could only recall the maskless Spider-Man with his face magically obscured. This caused friction with Peter's friend Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, who realized he used to know Spider-Man's true identity during what was supposed to be a short trip to the Macroverse dimension with the Fantastic Four. Oh yeah, enough is enough. Who are you? Yeah, friend or forgotten. Spider-Man explained that the mind wipe caused a psychic blind spot to preserve and protect his secret identity. Only by being unmasked or unmasking himself to someone would that person then have their memories come rushing back. While Spider-Man was hesitant to disclose his secret identity, even to his most trusted superhero allies, to limit the risk, he ultimately re-revealed his face to the Fantastic Four in Amazing Spider-Man number 591. Swing shift. While they were in the Macroverse for just hours, 2 months had passed back on Earth. Spider-Man returned to find out that his chief hater, J. Jonah Jameson, had been elected mayor of New York City and that his personal life had fallen apart during his absence. As the newly elected mayor, Jameson launched an anti-Spider Squad to hunt and hound the vigilante wall crawler 24/7. Spider-Man decided to dedicate his every waking moment to superheroing instead of Peter Parkering, even staying in costume for 96 hours straight. It's not the first time he's done stuff like that. When he's forced to be Spider-Man for longer than he's used to, those are when the best stories happen, actually. On duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, the webhead went on to fend off attacks from the anti-Spider Squad and a new acid-spewing vulture. Eventually, Spider-Man revealed that his 24/7 crusade was a response to Osborn, the Green Goblin, being appointed the most powerful man in America. Spider-Man then took responsibility for Osborn's rise to power and made a vow to end his dark reign. Marvel's Spider-Man 4. Holland has teased that Spider-Man 4, which is to be helmed by Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and Wonder Man director Destin Daniel Cretton, is crazy and a little different to anything we've done before. Adding, I think the fans are going to really respond to it. We have the best in the business working toward whatever the story might be, but until we've cracked it, we have a legacy to protect, Holland said earlier this year. The third movie was so special in so many ways that we need to make sure we do the right thing. He continued, this is the first time in this process that I've been part of the creative so early. It's just a process where I'm watching and learning. It's just a really fun stage for me. We want to make sure we're not overdoing the same things. Holland is first expected to appear in Avengers Doomsday on May 1st, 2026, before Spider-Man 4 swings into theaters on July 24th, 2026. They're doomed, man. They're fucking doomed. They're doomed. They have learned nothing. They've learned nothing. The reality is this shit was over before it started because all of the problems with the new Spider-Man movie that they're making exist in the foundation. There's cracks in the fucking foundation. What's up, Ritter? Thanks for watching, man. But yeah, man, the Spider-Man 4 movie is not going to be good. I don't care how many 10 out of 10s and how many people are like, man, that movie was great. The Marvel stands and slop eaters who turn their brain off when they go to the theater. I don't give a fuck what they say. That movie's going to be garbage. I don't care. It's not going to be good. I'll be there to cover, man. 2026. That movie is gonna be out in 2026. My God, man. I'll be there to cover it whenever it drops. All right, so this actually, wow, we've only been live for about 58 minutes. This is gonna be the last topic for tonight. This next one is gonna come from Variety, and it says toxic fandom: how Hollywood is battling fans who are just out for blood. From social media boot camps to super fan focus groups. How long have we been dealing with the adage of the toxic fan or the toxic fandom? So many of them just hate their customer base.
This is what's wrong with media right now.
Fans reject garbage you put out, and you punish them for it with more garbage. There's no enthusiasm for fucking anything at all. And it's their fucking fault. On August 28th, Amanda Sternberg, God, how do you pronounce this shit? Amanda Steinberg, the lead star. On August 28th, Amanda Steinberg, the lead of the Star Wars series, The Acolyte, posted an 8.5-minute video to her Instagram stories about Lucasfilm's abrupt decision not to pick up the show for a second season just a month after the season 1 finale streamed on Disney+. It's not a huge shock for me, Steinberg said, since the series was announced in 2020. She continued, we started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry. We started experiencing a rampage of, I would say, hyper-conservative bigotry and vitriol, prejudice, hatred, and hateful language toward us. Steinberg was unavailable to comment for this story. Oh, because she's lying. She can't show you any comments. In other words, The Acolyte was the latest high-profile target of toxic fandom. The catch-all term for when fan criticism curdles from good faith dissatisfaction into relentlessly negative, often bigoted online campaign against either the project or its stars or creative leaders. In a franchise economy increasingly dependent upon established audience devotion to drive the bottom line, the threat of toxic fandoms poisoning that enthusiasm has become a seemingly intractable headache for almost every studio, and it's only gotten worse. Oh, Shan probably already left, but peace out, man. They have to use labels like this to deflect responsibility off of themselves, Toast. It can't be their fault, because if it is their fault, they have to admit that they are the fucking problem. That's not how it works in their business model, if you can even call it that. It's the audience's fault. It comes with the territory, but it's gotten incredibly loud in the last couple years, says a veteran marketing executive at a major studio. People are just out for blood regardless. They think the purity of the first version will never be replaced, or you've done something to upset the canon of a beloved franchise, and they're going to take you down for doing so. So make something new. Or at least follow the fucking source material. Sometimes toxic fandoms behave reactively. A House of the Dragon episode featuring 2 female characters kissing, and an episode of The Last of Us focusing on a gay couple were both review bombed. Because they overtook the fucking story. Because you focused more on them than the story. The practice of mobbing sites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb with negative user reviews, which gained mainstream attention following the premiere of the 2017 Star Wars The Last Jedi, and an entire YouTube ecosystem is devoted to declaring projects like The Marvels and The Boys woke garbage, among other pungent sobriquets. What the fuck is that word? It's got to be the most pretentious term I've ever seen in my life. What the fuck is a sobriquet? You couldn't just say insult? Anyway, I'm definitely going to be making a video talking about stuff like this, like review bombs and the attitude that companies have toward negative reactions to their material. This shit has gotten out of hand. It's really stupid. Just as frequently, the backlash begins before the project has seen the light of day. No, that's not even true. You release a trailer. That's another fucking thing. Trailers are put out to not only for the company to gauge fan reception, but for fans to be able to say, I like this and I can't wait for it to come out, or I fucking hate this and I hope this trash never sees the light of day. Both of these opinions are valid, but it seems like nowadays you can only ever be hyped for something. Don't ask questions. Just consume product and get excited for next product. That's the only right answer. So you can't say that the project has never seen the light of day, or before the project. You can't say before the project has seen the light of day, because that's literally what you put the fucking trailer out for. You can't put out a trailer for some shit and then hide behind it's not even out yet. You never say that shit whenever people like it. Ever. No one ever says it's not even out yet whenever everyone's like, man, that shit's going to be great. It fucking doesn't happen. A Reddit mega thread dedicated to outrage over Bridgerton casting a black woman. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that shit. I'm sorry. Y'all can read that, bro. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I'm gonna butcher that. As the love interest for Francesca, social media epithets directed at the actors of color cast as elves and dwarves in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Death threats aimed at Leslie Jones during the press tour for 2016's Ghostbusters. I don't believe you. You never show the death threats ever. And people have already explained why black elves and dwarves don't make any fucking sense. They've already fucking told you why. Effectively, you're turning elves and dwarves into humans that are fucking short and or have pointy ears. That's all that's doing. There's a reason why elves are there's either regular woodland elves or dark elves, and there's pretty much only one type of dwarf. Like there's a reason for that shit. Also, there's actually established regions in Africa where there are fantasy races that you motherfuckers never use. Ever. Why is that? Why do you have to overwrite the supposedly legitimate races with blackface instead of just using the established black race that's in the Lord of the Rings mythos? Why is that? The material is there. Why the fuck aren't you using it? Because that's not what it's about. It's about destroying shit. That's all it's about. And you're very upset that people are calling you out for it. So that's why you have to make articles calling them fucking toxic when you're the fucking toxic ones. The vast majority of any fandom are casual fans. See, now we have to define what a casual fan is. Because what does that mean? The vast majority of any fandom are casual fans. What the fuck does that mean? What does that fucking mean? Any fandom I've been a part of, people knew shit about the fucking people knew shit about the thing that they were participating in. They liked it for reasons that they could adequately define or explain. And they had their favorite characters, their favorite episodes, their favorite books, their favorite whatever the fuck. What define casual fan in this sense? I've been a part of many fandoms. I don't know what the fuck casual fan means. I have no idea. I don't know what the fuck that means. The vast majority of any fandom are casual fans, says John Van Kitters. These names are getting more and more weird. John Van Kitters, I don't know. John Van Kitters, VP of Star Trek brand development, who has been with the storied franchise since the 1990s. The number of people who live and die on their franchises are very, very few. And then those who come after things that they espouse to love with venom are a really, really tiny subset of that already. What? Were they having a stroke when they said this shit? Let me take this from the fucking top. The number of people who live and die on their franchises are very, very few. I would debate the fuck out of that. And then those who come after things that they espouse to love with venom are a really, really tiny subset of that already smaller subset of fandom. What is the source for this shit? And for the record, they're not coming after something that they claim to love. They're coming after your shitty version of it. They're coming after your fucking bastardized abomination of it. It's just much easier to see it now. I don't know that it's really that much broader than where things were in 1995. It's just that the bullhorn wasn't there. What are you talking about? Back in 1995, they allowed fans to send in letters. And you know what the fuck happened whenever they got some heat in those goddamn letters? They changed the shit back. Because a bunch of angry letters from their bottom line meant they were gonna lose money. What the fuck are you talking about? Bro, the famous example I have of this is when they were trying to say that Spider-Man was going to be a clone or Peter Parker was a clone in the fucking Clone Saga. And then they got lit the fuck up by fans and they fucking changed that shit back. They retracted that fucking statement lightning quick. What are you talking about? For some, combating that bullhorn amounts to acting as if they can't hear it, particularly when it's negative. Toxic conversation, we don't even engage. What you mean legitimate criticism, you don't even engage, says a TV marketing executive. Like with toxic people, you try to not give it too much oxygen. Our principal concern is that reacting to these kinds of attacks risks alienating fans who are unhappy with creative choices about a franchise but haven't tipped over into abusive behavior. Motherfucker, that's the vast majority. And you're acting like it's not. So a studio may attempt to amplify friendlier voices instead. Will reply to comments that are positive and elevate those things, says the TV exec. Still, toxic fandoms have grown so pernicious. I know what that word means. Still, toxic fandoms have grown so pernicious that they've become a fact of life for many. Excuse me. And so powerful that while talent, executives, and publicists will privately bemoan the issue, fear of inadvertently triggering another backlash kept several studios from speaking for this story even on background. Not enough to change the shit, though. As one rep put it, it's just a lose-lose. No, the fuck it isn't. It's not a lose-lose. It really isn't. Motherfuckers are literally telling you what the fuck they would prefer. It's literally not a lose-lose. Motherfuckers are handing you a free dub and you're acting like you're blind. You're playing Bird Box with your customer base. Those who did talk with Variety all agree that the best defense is to avoid provoking fandoms in the first place. In addition to standard focus group testing, studios will assemble a specialized cluster of superfans. Studios will assemble a specialized cluster of superfans to assess possible marketing materials for a major franchise project. So instead of just putting out a trailer into the fucking wild on YouTube, Twitter, the biggest social media platforms in the world, you're going to get 5 or 6 hand-picked motherfuckers to watch. Get the fuck out of here, man. Who can't see the charade? The Schadenfreude, bro. Who can't see that? They're very vocal, says the studio exec. They will just tell us, if you do that, fans are going to retaliate. These groups have even led studios to alter projects. If it's early enough and the movie isn't finished yet, we can make those kinds of changes. Motherfuckers tell you what they want long before you even start making something. That's the beauty of it. Matter of fact, you already know what people want. There's source material for Star Wars too. All those novels you motherfuckers ain't used, the expanded universe books, whatever. Several studio insiders say that they often put their talent through a social media boot camp. In some cases, when a character is intentionally challenging a franchise's status quo, studios will, with the actor's permission, take over their social media accounts entirely. When things get really bad, especially involving threats of violence, security firms will scrub talent information from the internet to protect them from doxing. In some particularly egregious cases, a direct response has been necessary. In 2022, after Obi-Wan Kenobi actor Moses Ingram denounced the hundreds of racist messages sent to her about her role, there's nothing anybody can do about this. There's nothing anybody can do to stop this hate, she said. Lucasfilm posted a statement to its Star Wars social media accounts that read, in part, there are more than 20 million sentient species in the Star Wars galaxy. Don't choose to be a racist. So fucking lame. The Star Wars accounts also shared a video of Obi-Wan star Ewan McGregor saying the abuse made him sick to his stomach, and that if you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. Later that year, the cast of The Rings of Power condemned the relentless racism, threats, harassment, and abuse. Some of our castmates of color are being subjected to on a daily basis, and actors from the Lord of the Rings film trilogy posted photos of themselves wearing clothing featuring the ears of Middle-earth creatures in multiple skin tones. Underneath the message, "You are all welcome here," written in Elvish. Those efforts may have been in effect. May have had an effect. In an August interview with Amazon MGM Studios TV chief Vernon Sanders about The Rings of Power, the executive said the show hadn't experienced the same racist hostility in advance of season 2 that had greeted its 2022 debut. People have had a chance to actually engage with the show, he said. Overwhelmingly, what we've seen is that folks who came with an open mind can discuss and debate their favorite things, which takes you out of the place of that ugly conversation that happened with some folks who may have been infused with an agenda that's separate from the show itself. There is one other way to handle toxic fans on the internet. Stay off it. I'm not online, so I'm protected, says frequent Marvel star Elizabeth Olsen, WandaVision. Generally, it's a lot of positive experiences and making kids happy. I ignore the other stuff. Speaking of ignoring the other stuff, even if there is a large influx of death threats, racism, blah, 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 what have you, which is not fucking true and is a lie, why don't you just ignore that shit and listen to the actual fans who have legitimate criticism? Which you pretend does not fucking exist, dude. They keep bringing up you can tell they're full of shit because they keep bringing up the elves and dwarves thing. Like, people haven't already explained why having a black elf or a black dwarf doesn't make any fucking sense. There is no racism about it. Motherfuckers even bring up the same point about there being a black fictional race in Lord of the Rings that you motherfuckers won't use. People just care about it being an established thing. But no matter how much you fucking repeat yourself, all roads lead to racism, according to these idiots. Never mind the countless amounts of cases that prove them fucking wrong. Oh my God, man. Star Wars was another one of the properties I mentioned in today's video I put out too, because it's another one of those fucking franchises that has overstayed its welcome, along with Marvel, along with a few others. And at this point, I don't even want Hollywood to be the ones pioneering new franchises, because they're just fucking annoying now. I don't want anything from. I just don't. They have completely destroyed our media. Any enthusiasm for any major property is in the shitter. But yeah. Let me see if there's any comments that I can address before. Consume product that has red dye number 3. And it is good for you. Homemade entertainment is always better. I mean, yeah. Entertainment made by small studios, especially hungry studios, is often better, but there's not a lot of those. There's a very small amount of those. Unfortunately, the only people with a lot of money to be able to give to new creators are all over in Hollywood. Either that or it has to be crowdfunded. It has to be crowdfunded. But anyway, if the audience has nothing else that they want to talk about, all right, nah, I'll save something I just saw for another episode. But yeah, that's all the topics I have for tonight. Keep an eye out for more short form content. I'll just be putting out my thoughts on the current pop culture climate as it comes to me. But yeah, this has been your episode of the Monkey's Paw. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube things. Click the links in the description to keep your finger on the pulse of Cosmogoth. This has been your gracious host, Kaine Walker. I'm signing off, and I will see you all again next time. Peace.